All right, I'm giving you guys a break on the Polarises. Today we're back with another sled, but this time it's a Skidoo. This right here is a 2009 Skidoo GTX 600. This is actually a 1 year only model as well. It's the 50th year anniversary edition, so that's pretty cool. I actually didn't even mean to buy this thing. So I was actually looking for parts for another sled I got. I can show you that right now. Over here I got a 2010, I believe it is, Skidoo MXZ TNT 600. It's got the Etec in it. Anyways, I need a few parts for this thing, mainly a clutch, but definitely a few other parts. So I was looking online, man, the freaking snow, this stuff is, it wasn't snowing a minute ago. Anyways, yeah, I was looking online for some parts, mainly, like I said, a clutch, and I ran across an ad for this sled. The ad said he was looking to part it out, so I got a hold of him, asked him if he had the clutch. He said yes. This has got the same engine as that TNT. So I asked him, he gave me the price, which wasn't bad, and I asked him for a couple other things, and he was like, you know what, why don't you just buy the whole sled from me for 600 bucks? And I was thinking, well, 600 bucks, I can't go wrong. There's a lot of nice parts on this. He didn't know much about it. He's a wheeler and dealer. He buys and sells stuff. And I actually bought a 2015 Skidoo GSX Limited or Special Edition, whatever it was, from him years ago. That ended up being a pretty good sled. High miles, it had like 10,000 miles, but it was a good sled. Anyways, like I said, for 600 bucks, I get the clutch, I got all kinds of good parts. But as always, any of my part sled, anything I pick up, I gotta see if it runs. So all I know is that he said he picked it up, he got it cheap, and well, he was honest with me, or I think he was. He said he paid 500 bucks, so if he sells it for 600, he made 100 and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he tried to start it, put a battery in it, and the starter was bound up. He said he went to sell it to somebody else, and they said, well, we'll just wrap a rope around the clutch and see if it starts, and it wouldn't start. So I don't know much past that. But I do know I have another starter off that TNT that we could throw on this if we have to. Anyways, let's check her out a little bit. So yeah, I'm not taking it off the trailer. It's like perfect working height right here. But if we open her up, it's definitely not, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not super clean. You can see it's got, you know, some seat rips. The seat is kind of brittle. It would need a new seat cover, but it is a 2-up touring model. And I see wires, so that means it has heated grips, probably. Yep, it does have heated grips for the passenger. That's pretty nice. Most likely this thing's gonna be a parts machine, but you never know. Track is actually really good on it. It's only a 1-inch though, so it's not great. It's got a little hitch on it. Jump up on here. Looks like a button's busted off of there. Brakes seem to work. It's got the fancier gauge because it is a limited. Air filter's torn off, the skin there. But could take that rubber off. I was looking for a clutch, so we need a clutch. I did check, it does turn over by hand, so that's a plus. Pop that off. Oh yeah, I needed this guard for mine too. Yeah, a little dirty, but I don't see any major oil leaks or anything, so you never know. You might have a chance. I'm gonna hook a battery up to it, see what it does. Looks a little rusty, maybe it's just not popping out. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. It's really not that cold today. It's above, I don't know, 16 degrees or something, 17 degrees, but that wind is brutal. Yes, muffler too. My muffler was kind of banged in on that MXZ, so I got a muffler. I got a lot of good parts, you know, for that 600 bucks I paid, and then if I wanted to part out the rest, obviously I could. But let's get a battery in here, and we'll see what it does. Got the battery. Let's go ahead and throw that on. Now this isn't the correct battery. As you can see, my ground really doesn't go where it should. The terminal should be on this side. Positive should be over here, negative over here. So it's gonna work though. I should be able to reach. I get that hooked down first. We'll give her a good tighten. And we'll see what this does. He told me it doesn't turn over, so I'm not expecting it to turn over, but... Oh, we'll jump up here. That's up. We got our desk key in there, and then we just hit the start button. Nothing happens. But that doesn't seem to be working. Well, that's really not what I was expecting. Obviously, I didn't ask hardly any questions about this thing because, for one, he didn't know much, and for two, it was sold as a parts machine, so I really didn't care if it runs or not. But, and I got it at a really good price. So, but the way I took it is the starter just wouldn't engage or wouldn't turn or something, but nothing seems to be happening. It's like we have no power. I'm gonna start checking fuses. So I'm pretty sure this battery is good. I just used it, but we're gonna double check that we have a good solid 12 volts here, which we do, 12.6. We'll come up here, check our fuses. Looks kind of corroded in there, but looks good. Whoop, there goes that one. Where the heck did that go? I have no idea where that went. One of the downfalls to working in snow. Anyways, I'm gonna go get 2 brand new fuses and then we'll try that out. All right, we'll get some fuses in there. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, but if you have been following along on the Polaris 700s I've been buying and trying to fix up, I just figured I'd give you a little break on the Polarises, and the next video, you'll see what happened with that Polaris Edge. All right, so we got that in there. Let's go ahead and hit the starter button, make sure, or see if we got anything now. Okay, so we're clicking, so probably the starter is bound up. They probably hit it quite a few times and blew that fuse. This fuse was actually good. That one, I don't know. It ended up going somewhere, so it does sound, it's either the starter or the starter solenoid. We're gonna check that because we should check that. So I'm just gonna come in here and I can whirl that starter over. It looks like somebody's been hitting it. Probably trying to get it to start. You can see all those marks there. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna ground out one end and I'm gonna put my red lead right on that power wire right there on the starter. Now we're looking for 12 volts right on this gauge when I push that button. And we are getting it. So that means the starter is definitely bound up. Now if we didn't get any power there, I would say probably the starter solenoid, but we are getting power. We gotta pull that starter off and I'll steal the one off that and we'll see if this thing runs. I brought my stuff over, I brought the puller and everything to pull that clutch off so I can get the starter off. However, I know they said they already tried it, but I gotta try it for myself. I'm gonna wrap a rope around that clutch and see if I can get it to fire up. Now these things usually start up very easy because these Etecs, yes, they're fuel injected, but they're also direct injected. So the injector's right in the cylinder and they usually fire up like nothing. I mean, you just push the button or you can wrap a rope around the clutch. Actually, right from the factory, because these don't have backup recoils, they give you a little rope so you can do it in case you have problems with your starter. Now, anyways, let's try it. Now, obviously, I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not expecting much because, like I said, they did tell me they actually tried this, so we'll see. Kill switch is up, and we'll give her a whirl. Oh, slipped right off. Yeah, I'm not getting a good enough grip. I'll give her one more try, and then I'll say heck with it and just pull the starter. No, not quite enough. Get that out of there. Get that puller in. Beautiful. Go ahead and pop this hood off. Ah, nice little snake skin. Get that door off. And that one. Now I know the starter in this MXZ works, so I'm going to pull this thing out of here. Yeah, you can see this thing's all bent up. And there's no clutch. Well, we'll start by pulling the exhaust because it's got to come out this way. Get that unclipped. Get that out of there. Might be able to sneak it out without moving that expansion pipe. We'll see. We'll come back to this side. Okay, so I went ahead, stole a clutch off the 900 Ace. It's a lot easier to wrap around because it's got all this, so I can get a good grip. I spun it over, it didn't start, so I'm gonna pull the spark plugs, see if we're firing, see what's going on there. I see something's going on with the clutch. It seems to be stuck out a little bit, I believe. Possibly a bad roller in there, I don't know. But we'll go ahead and check these plugs first though. Looks pretty dry. Looks like we're not getting fuel. I'll set that there, wrap a rope around the clutch, and then we can see if she's got any spark. Alright. Like I said, this one doesn't have a smooth outer surface, so it's a lot easier to actually get some grip to it. But I did try to crank it like 2 or 3 times and it didn't want to fire up, so we got something going on. Alright. See what we got. Actually couldn't tell. I have to pull the other plug to so it turns over a little easier. Still don't know. Okay, so we got bigger problems. We're not getting any spark. So I brought it in the garage. And if you're wondering why I didn't go through with pulling the starter out of the other one, well, it was a bigger job than I thought. I kind of forgot. You got to actually loosen the engine mounts up to pry it up enough to sneak it out. And it just, I don't know. I still might do that, but right now I'm going to see what's going on. I'm hooking my bud system up and see what that tells me. We'll go ahead and get the bud system running. This side will go into the computer. On these 2 strokes, we need to hook this connector up to the battery. So if your machine doesn't have a battery, you'll have to use an external battery. But if you do have a battery, then you can just hook it right on here as long as you get a good battery. 12.5 volts. Right here is our diagnostics plug. So go ahead and plug that in. And as soon as I did that, the lights came on. Dash starting to work. Alright, we'll come up here, read data, see what's going on. Hopefully Hopefully it tells us something, but we won't know until it pops up. All right. Oh, so that's our problem right there. The cluster VIN or model number do not match with the ECM connected. Do you want to change them? We're going to go, yes, we're going to match these up. So you can see the VIN on the ECM is right here. Last numbers are 0017. That's actually not even this VIN number, is it? This is 94. And the cluster, okay, so the cluster is actually original and the ECM is different. Huh. Alright, well, we're going to go here so we can swap the ECM over to this. Somebody must have put a different ECM in this thing. And swap that over. We'll go to OK. The VIN and model number have been successfully written. Perfect. Alright, let's see what's going on with this thing. This thing's got 13,000 miles on it right there. And then 346 hours. And delivery date of this thing, last time it was serviced, or last time it was on the bud system. So if we go to faults, throttle positioning, sensor, history, yeah. So right now I can activate a lot of stuff here, make sure fuel pump's working. Just by holding that, I can activate the fuel pump. You can tell it's kicking on. Yeah, so that's good. I can actually turn the injectors on, do all that good stuff. We want to write the data. Yes, we're going to write it into the module. Okay. Okay. Now up here it's saying bad key. Why is it saying bad key? I don't know. We'll go ahead and exit this. Pull that out. Alright, so we exited out of that. We can go ahead and disconnect everything now. So these Skidoos, Can-Am, all that stuff, all Rotax stuff, if you're going to work on them, you almost need the bud system, because if you go and replace modules, you need that bud system to pair it up with the, to pair everything up with the VIN. So somebody had replaced the ECM in this, it looks like, because the speedometer actually matched up with the VIN that's on this machine, but the ECM didn't. So at first, when it said the speedometer didn't match up, I was thinking somebody swapped it, probably because it had a ton of miles and they wanted to throw something on with low miles, but that's not the case. They probably threw a different ECM in there to try to make it work, and then, I don't know, maybe it didn't, maybe they never programmed it. We're going to try to fire it up now, see if it does anything. Yeah, I'm going to throw this spark plug back in there. These on these Etecs do have to be indexed, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. Alright, let's see what she's going to do. Nothing there. Nothing. Nothing there. If these things are running even somewhat good, it should have fired up just like that. No problem. And it didn't even try, so might have some other issues with this thing. Well, I think I might have found the problem here. So I got the bud system hooked back up, and I was checking, you know, I checked fuel pressure. I just pulled the fuel line, and it, I didn't actually put a gauge on it, but I just wanted to make sure we were getting fuel pressure. We were getting plenty of fuel pressure. I started pulling plugs, and, well, not plugs, but plug wires. Let me show you what I found. So this plug right here, this is not the right plug for it, but this is the plug wire for the right side here. So if we come on over here, Activate the mag coil. Yes. We can see that we're sparking. I don't know if the camera picked that up or not. I can see it by eye pretty good. Yeah, you can definitely see it sparking there. So now, we'll grab this, just in case she's got some juice left. I'm going to take it off with my jacket. I'm going to put it on the PTO side here. Get that shoved in there all the way. Hang that up there. We want it grounded. We'll come over here. Activate the PTO. Yes, we're sure. Getting nothing. Nothing at all. So most likely bad coil. Maybe a coil wire. We'll try swapping the coil wires first, but it's probably the coil itself, I'm sure. I'll pull the wire off and see how that looks. So get that one off. We're going to go ahead and throw this one. This is a good known plug wire. Put that on there and see if we get anything different. Alright. Out with the old. Maybe. Out with the old. Get that out. Now we'll throw a good used one in. Alright, I got that one hooked up. Let's give her a whirl this time. Alright, let's see what she's gonna do. Alright, so I went ahead, pulled both plugs out, and we're gonna see if it's firing now while I turn it over, because obviously when I activate it, we got spark, but I don't know if we got spark just by turning it over, so we're gonna check that now. So we don't have a starter on there. Well, we don't have a good starter on there still, and I got that different clutch on anyways. So this is off a 4-stroke. They have electric start. However, the electric start on the 4-strokes are actually internal, so they don't use a ring gear on the clutch. All right, kill switch is up. Bring you in a little closer. And let's find out. Oh yeah, definitely sparking. Well, it's great that we got spark. What might not be good is we probably better check compression, because we got spark. I can activate the fuel pump. I can activate all this stuff. So maybe we're low on compression. It's got 13,000 miles on it. I'm hoping it doesn't, but we'll see. So we'll go ahead and thread our compression tester in there. Thread that in good shape. Make sure it seals good. Should be good enough. Now we'll check our reading. Now I can't turn it over as fast as I would be able to with a regular recoil or with the electric start working. So we might get some low numbers, but as long as they're both fairly even, you know, I don't know. Let's see what we get. So we want to hold the throttle wide open. We want to throw a ratchet in there. There we go. Wrap that clutch up. I'm hoping for the best, but 13,000 miles, if it's never been opened up, she definitely could be on her last legs here. So here's the gauge. I don't know if you can see that, but we'll check it out after if you can't, and we'll give her a good pull. First pull, 60 psi. Not great, but it does take a couple times. Usually I'd expect, it's hard to say because I'm pulling with a rope, but usually in the first try I'd expect around 80, 90 maybe. Second, third, you get up to that 120 or more. Second pull at 80. Seems kind of low, but like I said, we'll check both to be sure. And usually it takes a good few cranks to be able to get a good reading. Third pull, 90. She's climbing. We'll do 4 on this one and 4 on the other and see, and we'll compare. All right, what do we got? You got about 100 PSI on that. That's not good. It's not good at all. But we'll see how the other one looks. Like I said, I am pulling it with a rope, so maybe that's why. All right, we'll feed this into the other side. We'll wind that side up. All right, now we'll check this side. So 4 pulls. If we're around 100, it's probably just because I'm pulling slow, and I'd say the engine's probably healthy. If we get a much higher reading than that, I'd say we probably got a problem with the PTO cylinder. Let's hope not. All right, first pull. A little higher, about 70 PSI, and that wasn't a very good pull. Make sure we wrap it nice and tight this time and get a real good pull on the second go around. Second pull. We bumped right up to 100 PSI on second pull. Looks like my gauge is bleeding down a little bit, but we did hit 100. Which is telling me that the other side is probably a little worn. But we'll see what the next 2 pulls bring us. All right, number 3. 110. And number 4. Almost 120. Actually, it came down. When the gauge was down here, it was at 120. Looks like 110 right there. Well, I'd say our PTO cylinder is definitely down on compression. That's not great. I'm actually surprised this thing's not starting, though. Even though it's down that much, I would think it would still run. But maybe not by pulling over by the rope. I don't know. Maybe that's why they burned out the starter, because they were cranking and cranking and cranking to get it to run. I don't know. I'm going to throw plugs back in it and try it again a couple more times, and then she's out of here. So I'm going to put these plugs back in there. They did spark. They could definitely use some new plugs, but these things are actually pretty pricey. You're talking around 20 bucks a piece for these plugs. So we're going to reuse them. We are going to index them. So they marked this one as well, that red dot. That's the open side of the electrode. And that you want facing up towards the injector. You don't want it facing down like that when you tighten it down. When you get it all the way tightened down, you don't want it facing like this. So you do have about 270 degrees. So it can be anywhere from like this when it seats all the way to like that. But you don't want it facing up. So you want to make sure you index it so you get it in the right position. Most of the plugs will tighten down to around the correct position, but you never know. So you always want to check. So that little red dot somebody put on there, and then, we're going to put it in. I'll start with that one because that one's a little harder to get to because it's way in there. Yeah, I got to remove my gauge first. We'll pull that out of there. Also, pull our throttle opening out. Then we'll get these plugs back in. So that plug in there, I get it in by hand, but you need to use a swivel, otherwise you'll have a hard time getting it. Alright, got it tightened. We'll check the indexing. Alright, so I got that one done. A little hard to see. I'll show you on this one better though. So this one, and they're not marked on the other one. I think the red mark was by the NGK on that one. Now this one is right here. So let's get this one in. Alright, we got her tightened up. So now, just by hand, that red dot is right over here. I would say this has probably been over torqued at one time. So we're just going to tighten it lightly, and then it'll be okay. Just going to tighten that up a little bit. And our red mark is about over here, which is acceptable. Like I said, you wouldn't want the red down here. Now we'll just hook our plug wires up. Now, usually, if you index them wrong, they'll still run. They just might not run 100%. I know I bought a Etec once, and they weren't in spec at all. I actually had to buy some new plugs because I couldn't tighten them enough to get it in spec, or if I backed them off, they weren't tight at all. So I bought some new plugs for it, and that straightened out that one. That one had some troubles getting into reverse, I think, and the new plugs took care of it. These have a RER, they call it. It's an electronic reverse, so it changes the timing, and it actually switches your primary, well, it switches the crankshaft from spinning frontwards to spinning backwards. That's how the reverse works on these. If they get low on compression, they have a hard time getting in reverse. If you're indexing, if we have any little problems, they have a hard time getting into reverse. But anyways, we got all that. We know we're firing. I know my fuel pump works. I know all that stuff works. Let's try to crank it over again a couple more times. If she doesn't do anything, well, definitely a parts rig. Let's see. Whoa! What the heck? Are you kidding me? She's a little loud because I don't have this on all the way. What in the world? I don't even know. I do know, I think compression is down on this, but I don't know. I guess we can try it out. Well then, great news. Don't ask me why. Maybe the indexing. I have no idea. I know she's running now, but I did shut it off because we got to put a belt on there. I'm gonna try. I might as well just use this primary clutch for now. It's definitely not clutched for a 600 Etec. It's clutched for a 900 Ace 4-stroke, but it'll work. Gonna put a belt on. I gotta get that. Get the springs back on the muffler here because that's just falling off. Get that tightened up. There was only one spring on this one. It didn't have another one. It didn't have the second one. Get that one on there. And that one. Beautiful. Now I'm probably going to do something with this secondary clutch because if you look at this, the belt just sinks way down in. You shouldn't do that. So we'll go ahead and pull this off. I don't really know if I want to pull that whole thing out of there. We'll see. I'm going to push this in. Push the secondary in and see if it backs out to at least this point or not. Not sure what she's going to do. But we'll open her up. And we'll see if maybe a bolt had popped out of there, or most likely it's probably a roller in there that's stuck, broke. swirl her over. I get the track off the ground. You can see that roller. Looks fine. That roller is not fine, it's broke. If you look in there, all you can see is a metal piece. And right here on this one, you can see the big roller. So yeah, we do have a broken roller in there. That's what's going on with that. I don't want to do too much damage, but I do want to just try this out. I don't have a roller right now. Who knows what else it needs in there. You know, 13,000 miles probably on that secondary. So we're going to try it out just like that. It's not going to take off good, that's for sure. We'll be easy on her. Hopefully it at least goes back to where it did before. Just that. See how high up it goes. Looks like that's about it. Well, let's see if we can get her to start again. Beautiful. All right, well, I got it out here right now. We're going to give her a test run. It's a lot nicer today. So it has been the next day. I kind of wonder, I really don't know why that thing started. I don't know. Maybe the plugs weren't indexed. I don't think that would have caused it not to start. I could be wrong, but I don't know. We'll see how it runs when I actually try it out. I brought it out here. It seemed to run pretty good. Took off pretty good. A little slow because it's like in overdrive a little bit because of that secondary clutch. But I'm also kind of wondering, so I pulled the plugs last night, and then they didn't really look wet, but maybe they were. And then I did the compression test this morning. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe with the plugs out, if it was flooded, maybe it dried itself out. I'm not sure. I'm just happy it's running. I didn't really expect that. But yeah, anyways, I'll show you the other sled here. So what's going on with this sled, this was in a wreck, this side. So they ended up hitting just right. It didn't touch the body here. I'm not sure if it touched the ski. I know it's tweaked, but this thing was laying down for a couple years. It's been sitting here for a couple years. I decided, well, why don't I try to fix it? The frame actually, the modules look pretty good. I mean, they're not tweaked at all. So I bought an upper A-arm. The tree must have hit like centered here. So I bought an upper A-arm, a lower A-arm, a shock. However, the lower in the tie rod, the lower A-arm on this is short. It was supposed to be for an MXZ, but I think they sent me one for a Summit or something because it's much narrower than this side. So it looks a little squirrely, and the skis tipped out a little bit. So, but anyways, this thing is actually really nice. Nice track. It's definitely filthy because, like I said, it's been sitting outside here for a couple years. I mean, it'll clean up, but it's got low miles. I haven't been able to use the electric start on this. I have the clutch on this now off of this one. This one still got the 900 ace clutch. A little confusing, but so I got this clutch on here now. I'm gonna try to fire it up. Should start right up. I stole the battery out. Oh no, the key. So when I got this machine, like I said, it was wrecked. Also, it didn't have a primary clutch on it, and the only way to start this thing is to have a primary clutch because it's electric start, and the ring gear is on the clutch, which I did not have. So I never heard this thing run. I didn't know how many miles were on it because you can't tell anything. Well, I guess I could have hooked my computer up to it. but I never did. And it sat over in the bushes. If you saw some of my other videos, you might have seen this thing sitting around here in the bushes. I wish that I didn't do that because it runs great. So I ended up taking this 900, not this one, but what this has for a clutch on it. Ended up taking the 900 clutch off the Renegade, throwing it on here. It doesn't have a ring gear, but I was able to wrap a rope around the clutch, and this thing fired right up. It's been sitting here for 2 years outside, and then I don't know how long it was sitting at the previous owner's place, but I wrapped the rope around the clutch. One pull, it didn't start, but I didn't get a good grip. Second pull, I got a good grip, and it fired right up. I couldn't believe it. So that's when I decided I better fix this thing, or at least part this thing out, get that engine in something good. But I don't know. Okay, well, the starter's working, but it's not engaging. Anyways, this thing's got like 2,600 miles, I think, on it, maybe 2,800, somewhere around there. Very low mileage for a 600 Etec. Much lower than this GTX, but anyways, this video is about this thing. Let's fire it up and take it for a ride. All right, so we'll go ahead and try to fire this thing up. Seems to be starting pretty decent. Gonna go the right way here. Wrap that rope around there. There she goes. It seems to run pretty good, but I haven't ran it much. Enough to drive it out here, and that's about it. So, it's like we're a little low on fuel. I did put some in it. Top speed of 157. Average speed. So this thing is in kilometers. Oh. And it has 21,000 kilometers on it, which is equal to whatever I said, 13,000 miles, I think. Try the hand warmers out. Actually, so it's at 2 bars for the heat. Right now, I'm gonna try to start the reverse. Kicked right in. That engine can't be that low on compression if the reverse kicked in that easy. Let's give her a whirl. It does have that secondary. I do not recommend driving your sled with a bad secondary. The roller's broken. It's not a good idea. You're gonna create more problems than you have. I'm impatient. I got this thing dirt cheap, and I happen to know where there's a $75 secondary with the jack shaft all installed. Everything's good for 75 bucks. So I'm not even gonna bother seeing if this one's good. I'm just gonna go buy that one. It's a good known one, so we'll go that way, that route. This is an unstudded track. Track is in nice shape. Oh, this thing is like, it's not like riding that MXZ. That MXZ is pretty sporty. This thing is like very cushiony. It wants to, maybe I was just spinning. Can't tell. These things are so quiet, these 600 Etecs. I can't believe I get this thing running. 600 bucks. Definitely needs that secondary in there, but hey, who cares? Boy, this thing is very, very bouncy in the rear end. I think probably needs a new shock. But like I said, 13,000 miles, so who knows what's been replaced on this thing. Is that engine original? Could be. I've seen plenty of these 600 Etecs go that many miles without any issues, so it could be. Oh, now I don't know what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna buy that secondary like I was saying? Keep the clutch on here. This definitely needs a starter. Needs a new starter. And a few other things. Could use a seat cover. I don't know about the compression. I'd like to do another test, but I don't think I can get a good accurate reading with my rope method. Definitely don't, you know, it doesn't bite. Every time I wrap it, it does. It's not like pulling a rope on a recoil. Like, you get the same amount of force on that no matter what. When you have a rope wrapped around the clutch, you definitely don't. So, like I said, okay, so we're warmed up now. I'm gonna come to a abrupt stop, reverse, and I kicked right in. So that's a very good sign. Like I said, and what it does, if you're not familiar with these Skidoos, it literally spins the engine backwards. So you watch the button, I push the button, comes to a stop, and then it changes the revolution, front to back. And it doesn't, so I don't have a starter on this. The way it works is it keeps that momentum going, and it changes the timing, so it doesn't need to use a starter to actually start it up to go backwards. But these things do got to be running pretty good. They got to be a pretty healthy engine for the reverse to work. Otherwise they seem to stall out sometimes. The hand warmers are warming up pretty good. I can feel them. I wonder how the back feels actually. Let's see, I'll get back here. Plenty of room on this thing. Do the hand warmers work? I saw a switch earlier. Right there. And then you gotta, actually it's got a plug for the a heated visor right there as well. I don't feel anything yet, but I'll keep those on and see how she does. Oh yeah, I can feel them starting to heat up. Definitely not running 100%. I can hear it coughing a little bit here and there. Probably got some crap in the intake. Needs to be cleaned out. This thing looks like it's sat outside for a while. Give her a little test here. Hopefully I don't actually blow that secondary up. That would be bad. After I get done saying not to do it. 97 kilometers an hour. I don't even know what that is in miles per hour. Oh, no studs. Come on, girl. I like studs. I know they can get thrown in your coolers. They can get thrown out, tear your track up, but man, you get way better traction. This thing just doesn't get any traction. And plus, it's only a 1-inch track, so that kind of hurts it in the snow anyways. But if you're, you know, out in the on the road, that's when the studs really, really help. Oh boy. Yeah. We're at 3 bars still, 21,000 kilometers. See, this is idling around. It's idling a little rough. 2,000. I think it should idle closer to 1,500. 1,600 maybe, somewhere in there. I don't know. It's definitely not idling the best, but she's running pretty decent. I gotta say, I can open it up. Clutching is gonna be way off. For one, the secondary is bad. For two, the primary's off a 900 4-stroke. Oh, what do I do? Do I fix this? Do I fix that? Do I just fix everything? I don't know. These parts machines keep turning into, I want to fix it, I want to fix it, I want to fix it, I want to fix it. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next repair.